Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Moon here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, starting with the DXY on the daily. We got those five. We got that WXY, X2, the Z down. There's two scenarios here, like I've been mentioning. This can either be the Z down, or this is an A, a B, a C as a regular flat in here. So this one just goes up, just breaks that top, and then gives us more downside for an A, B, C. At this stage, it was looking very sideways in here. On the H4, we've got a WXY now. So we have to wait till this wave's over, get the X2, and then you can look for that wave Z up. On the H1, there really isn't much at all. We've got bearish divergence, but that's about it. There is no buy or sell on it. We've got bearish divergence in here. This may be a flat. We've got some sort of a WXY, X2, and we may get a Z up in here, and this is a flat, an A, B, C in here as a flat before we get another one up. So you really have to be careful in here trading, because we do have that bearish divergence. We do have a bull hidden here. So, you know, this can go up and break that top. It's not valid to trade as bull hidden, but it's still possible that that does go up and break the top to finish off this wave Y on the H4. For the sell, you know, we really want a break below here, this low here, give us a correction, and then we can look for a sell. Until this happens, it's very risky to sell. And there really isn't a buy set up on it either, just as yet. AU on the daily. So we're looking at this A, B, C in here, and then we get an A, B, C. That's the structure I'm sort of looking at. Whether this B wave here goes and breaks the low or not, we'll see. But I would really like to see price come down and at least break this low here now. If that happens, well, any buy setup that we get, we can start to look for the buys. H4, there really isn't much at all. It's extremely choppy, as we can see, you know, extremely choppy. And there really isn't much at all. We don't have a bearish divergence in here. I think I said last week, we can only really buy this. So there isn't no bull hidden or anything, so it's very risky to buy. On the H1, getting this flat here, this possible flat for an A, B, C. This is looking very much like a flat here, an A, B, C in here. So you'd have to go down onto the lower time frames. If you got a little setup in here on the lower time frames, you could look for that one down for the A, B, C. EU on the daily. This one's playing out pretty much how we're looking at it, as an A, B, C in here, and then we get the A, B, C. So we're looking for a little bit more downside down to this 100 pip on the D1. On the H4, we got that A, B, and we're getting that C down now. You can only sell this, you know, so you'd be waiting for a correction for more downside. I'd be targeting that 100 pip. Is there a setup on it? we are getting bullish divergence in here. It's starting to get bullish divergence. It looks like we may have a bear hidden here, so we may get an A, a B, a C as a running or expanding flat, and we get another one down. So you will have to be careful with the buys just at this stage. Very similar to AU, need a break above there to start buying, and then wait for your correction if you're looking for the buy. If you're looking for the sell, you have to go down onto the lower time frames and look for a running or expanding flat in here, and look for a sell setup to sell. If you want to learn how to how I trade, how I get in and out of the market, the systems that I use, you'll have to join the group. They're extremely good systems, and there's nothing else out there like it. GU on the daily. So I'll just take this off. This is during the week. So we got that A, B, C, D, E, like I've been looking for as an expanding triangle for a long time, and then we get the larger A, B, C. Either way, we are getting that bearish divergence. So whether this does go down and break the low, we're all good. We're only looking for sells, or the second scenario, well, the first scenario I'm looking at is this expanding triangle, and we get more downside in here, and then we get one up. Time will tell, but we're only looking for the sells at this stage. You can see what I'm looking at here. So I'm looking at a flat in here, an A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C, or it turns motive. It may turn motive. More than likely it'll turn motive. So any sort of sell setup we get, we want to look for that sell. On the H1, you can see what I'm looking at. I'm looking for this C up in here. We do have a bear hidden in here. So any sort of sell setup we get, we want to look for the sell. This may not be over. You'd have to go down onto the lower time frames and see what's happening in here, whether this wave in here is over. If this is over on the lower time frames, well, then you start looking for that sell. And again, if you want to learn how to do all this, you'll have to join the group, because I can't talk much about it on these videos. And you on the daily, this is extremely tricky. First of all, I was looking for that A, B, C, then go up to the 100 fib as an A, B, C. That failed when we started to get this, when we didn't get that impulse up. Then I was looking for an A, B, C. That failed. This one here didn't go and break that low. So all this is corrective for more downside. So I'm still looking at some sort of an A, a B, and a C in here before we get the larger A, B, C. So I am looking for downside. This is quite risky here. We got this. Actually, did that go and break that top? I think it did. So this one here did go and break that top. I was sort of looking for an A, a B, and a C as a running or expanding flat in here. It's gone up and broken the top, so that negates that. Here it's risky to buy, to sell, because we do have a possible bull hidden here. So this can, like an A, B, well, a W, X, Y, X2, and a Z up, breaking that top. we have that bull hidden there. So this isn't, you have to be very careful selling in here. Ideally, we would like to see that impulse go and break that low, taking out the possible bear hidden. Sorry, the bullish hidden, and then we could look for a sell. That didn't happen, so it's very risky to buy in here. I think I mentioned this last week. On the H1, we can only look for sells. Like I said last week, though, we got this bearish divergence, nice impulse down, and we're getting some sort of a correction. But this, like I mentioned on the higher time frames, this can give a WXY X to a Z up, and it may even break this top. It will still be an A, B, C. Still looking at it as an A, B, C. So even if it does break the top, it'll just turn into a running or expanding flat, and we'll still be looking for that wave C down. At this stage, you can't, there is nothing on it. You'd have to go down onto the lower time frames again. But we don't have any bearish divergence, so we may get bullish hidden in here, and then we get another one up, and I dare say that's what'll happen next week. So yeah, you'll have to be very careful trading this at this stage. GY on the daily, this one here has gone and broken that top, so this is the high. So I'm looking at an A, B, C. This wave up in here may not be over, and we are getting internal structure as some sort of WXY. We'll be looking for an X2 and a Z up on the daily. Still waiting for that larger correction. The H4 gave us the 5 up. It gave us that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. It kept on going, and we end up losing the bearish divergence, like I've mentioned. So once that happened, I was just looking for a larger correction and then more upside. Looks like we're getting some sort of a flat here. You can only buy this at this stage. We have a higher high here, so we can look at this as an A, a B, and a C as some sort of a flat, maybe a running or expanding flat. So if you are looking for the sell, you can definitely sell it on the lower time frames for this down in here, but then you'll have to be careful wherever this 100 pip is. And if you get a buy set up, well, then you get out of this sell and look for the buy to go and break the top. We already have that bearish divergence, so it becomes risky. On the H1, there really isn't anything yet. We're starting to get a correction here. Starting to get a correction, but there's nothing really to trade. You really have to go down onto the lower time frame to see what's happening in here if this is complete. And then you may even be getting a buy set up on here on the. No, yeah, you can't. Very risky to be buying this in here. Very risky because we don't have a bull hidden here to go and break that top. So this may just be like an A, B, C in here, and then we get a sell set up. If you get this sell set up, well, then you could look for the sell. For the buy, if you're buying, a correction in here, you have to be careful because it may just be a C up for an A, B, C before we get more downside. And, we're only really looking for the sells, looking at the daily. UY on the daily, got that nice impulse down, impulse up, impulse down. So we're looking at an A, a B, and a C. as some sort of running or expanding flat in there, and then we get an A, B, C to finish off this B wave, and then we get the larger A, B, C. This is a basic structure that I'm looking at this stage. Like I mentioned last week, you have to be very careful selling this because we had that bull hidden here. We are now getting bearish divergence that has gone up and broken the top. The only way you can buy this, and last week I said this was one of the ones that you could buy because we had that bull hidden. Now you'd be looking for, if I just remove that, so we're looking for that 38.2 retracement. So we have some sort of like a WXY. You have to wait for that X2 similar size correction as that over here, and then you can start to look for the buy. You have to wait for this correction. And really, I wouldn't be selling it because in here, this low, we have a bull hidden in here. So the only way you can really sell this is if we get a nice impulse down, breaking this low, and then you could look for the sell. Other than that, we're only looking for a buy. This may keep on coming down here, and then we get that buy set up. So I'd be looking for that next week. It may take all week to get this. USD CAD on the daily. This is very difficult at this stage. You know, I was looking for that a possible WXY X2. We had that bull hidden there, and I was looking for that Z up. We didn't get that Z up, and we're starting to get sideways. We got a nice impulse up, a very deep correction. So this may just be an A, B, C as a regular flat in here. And then we get A, B, C, filling in this X2 on the daily, and we can get that Z up. You can see how deep this correction was, you know, extremely deep to this wave here. I was sort of looking for a WXY, possible X2 and a Z down, just breaking that low, and then we get an A, B, C as a running flat. It's already given a nice impulse up. We do have a bear hidden here, so really I would be staying out of it. Unless you're looking at this as a contracting flat, which are very difficult to trade because you're never going to know. But we have a bear hidden here, so extremely risky to buy. And this is looking sort of rather corrective in here. We may get some sort of an A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C in here before we get like the A, B, C. This in here, it's quite, I would be staying out of the CAD at this stage. You can't, there's nothing on it. You know, we had a nice higher high here, and we're only looking for the buy. We're looking for a buy in here, but it fell over. So it must be a flat now for more downside. For an A, all this is a B and a C, whatever's happening in here. This can be quite a few different structures. That's the problem. On the H1, there really isn't nothing, you know, there's nothing you can really do with this. Especially at this stage, we're getting all this. It's more bearish than anything, but this can turn into a lot of different structures. You know, A, B, C in here, A, B, C, and then you get an A, B, C before you get the larger A, B, C. So yeah, you have to be very careful with the CAD. The Swissy, we got that A, B, C with the bullish divergence on the daily. This can be a flat in here. Like I've mentioned, we get 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, and it falls over as a larger flat. So then we get an A, B, C. I'm still looking at it as corrective in here. There was a few scalps, during the week. I was looking for this, an A, a B, A, B, and then a C up to that 100 fib. That's played out. You really have to go down to the lower time frames. Now you may get a sell on it. If I just go down there, I'll remove all this. And that was during the week. Yeah. So on the M15, you can only sell it and would be looking for a correction in here. If you got a correction in here, you could look for the sell. EG on the daily. This is a very difficult pair to trade, like I've mentioned. Still looking at it the same though, an A, a B, and a C. Ideally down to the 100 fib, but this is extremely choppy in here. I would be staying out of this, but I think we did get a trade on it last week, or maybe not. The H4 is looking a little bit better. We got that WXY, X2, and we got that Z down now. This, it's not going though, so there may be still more downside in the wave Z. On the H1, we sort of got that like WXY. If you're looking for an X2 and a Z down, this here, extremely deep correction, back to that 90 fib. So if you're looking for a buy, you have to be very careful when that top gets broken, because it may just be an A, B, C. If this correction in here does go and break that low, well, then I'd be looking at it as an A, B, C as a running or expanding flat before we get A, B, C and more downside. So at this stage, it's very risky to buy because we've got such a long drawn out correction in a B wave, and it's very deep to this A wave. So you have to be extremely careful. It's not giving us a nice setup to actually buy. And there is no sell on it at this stage either. WTI on the daily. So we're looking at that A, B, C here. For it to go and break the low, it did go and break the low. We got even more bullish divergence. So this may be the end of this wave's larger C down. There's nothing to suggest that at this stage. The H4, there really isn't much. We got a nice impulse up. We'll be looking for a correction, and then more upside. If we got to look at the price action in here to see if it's going to be corrective. We may have a bear hidden there, I believe, on the H1. Yeah, like I've been mentioning, we got that bear hidden here, so you have to be very careful. This one didn't go down and break the low. So more than likely that bear hidden won't play out, but this still can be like an A, a B, and can go even break that top. Ideally, it does go and break this top in this B wave here, so then we can look for a C down, and then look for the buy. Really need to see a correction. It's not complete. The correction's not complete. I'd be looking for an A, B, C in here, and then we get the A, B, and you can look for that C up. Gold on the daily. So on the weekly, well, on the weekly, we've broken this top and we got a wave Z. This is a wave Z on the weekly, and it still can get up to these targets. The 123.6 and the 161.8. There's nothing to say that this wave here is over yet on the higher time frame. We were looking at this flat in here for this like A, B, C in here, and then you get the A, B, C. That's completed now. We have that bearish divergence. We got a nice impulse down. So, you can only sell this. You'd be looking for a correction and then selling. Is there a sell setup? You can see what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a possible flat in here for like an A, a B, a C as a running or expanding flat in here before we get one down. I think we do have bullish divergence in there. You have to go down onto the lower time frames, and you could have got a buy in here on Friday if you were looking for this one up in here. Gold, silver. But just go down up to the weekly and show you this. So I'm looking at that WXY X2. We have a bear hidden here, so this can go down and break that low on the weekly. So you have to be very careful. These hidden divergences, they do play out a lot of the time, so you got to be very careful. We don't have any bearish divergence, so I was just looking for a correction in here back to the 50 fib, and then we can start to look for a buy. We had that ball hidden in here, and so we were looking for this wave up in here. The problem was we lost the bearish divergence in this wave up. So I'm just looking for some sort of correction in here, another one up, and then possibly downside. H4 is tricky because we've just broken the top here. So I have to start to look at it as an expanding flat for a WXY. The problem is with these flats, it's hard to get an entry on them. We're using the system we use. It's not impossible. We certainly can, but it's what we call a more riskier trade. On the H1, we got that WXY. I was looking for that X2 last week, and then a Z down. This still can play out as a flat in here, and then we get another one down. If you look here, we do have a bear hidden here, so extremely risky to buy at this stage. You really need to go down onto the lower time frame, and you may get a sell set up in here for the flat. Yeah, you really have to go down onto the lower time frames. Bitcoin on the daily. So nothing's changed. I'm looking at that A, B, C in the B wave. Then we get the A, B, C as an expanding flat. There's still maybe, as you can see here, I'm looking at like a WXY. We're getting the X2 now, and then we can look for that Z up, and then we'd be looking to go and break this low here. Have to see if this is over in here. We're getting bullish divergence, so it's very risky to sell. It starts to get risky to sell, but I dare say we got a nice sharp move up in here. So I'm looking at an A, B, C as a running or expanding flat before we get an A, B, C. This B wave in here may not be over either. we can look at this as a WXY. We get an X2 in here and a Z down before we get the flat. H1 is really nothing you can do. It's bearish, if anything, because we have a bear hidden here. So extremely risky to buy. This is looking corrective. So we got some sort of an A, B, C in here. So we look for an A, B, C. It's a very risky buy, and it's not really, it may be giving you a buy setup on the lower time frames. You may get that. I wouldn't be trading that. I'd be more interested in looking for the sell. But yeah, to finish off that daily correction, once that daily correction's over, well, then you can start to look for the buy. This doesn't look complete yet. We got an impulse down here, an A, B, C in a B wave. Then we get an A, B, C, A, B, C. You'd have to look for a little flat or a correction in there to look for that up. And then, any sell setup you get, you could look for the sell to go and break that low for the larger WX, Y, X2 and the Z down. S&P on the daily. So nothing's changed on this. We're still looking for more upside for that A, B, C up to that 100 fib. And this may even turn motive, and get up to that second target at the 161.8. We got that WXY, X2, we got that Z up. Had a nice impulse down. Now we're getting 3 up in here. So as a larger correction. So this is starting to look quite good. We got the 5 up. Impulse 1, 2, 3 in the B wave. So we get that A, B, C as a running or expanding flat. You can sell this down in here, looking at it as a flat. But yeah, this is the one that I wouldn't want to miss, because then you get that larger A, B, C. You could scalp this one down. If I just draw that target. So you'd be looking, if you're looking for a sell, you'd be looking for this 100 fib here for the A, B, C before you get that A. Sorry. You'd be looking for this 100 fib. And then any buy setup, if you got to bounce off this 100 fib, you could look for that to go up and break the top as the A, B, C, and then we get more upside. AU200 on the daily. Nothing's changed on the daily, really, Looking at that A, B, C, A, B, C up to that 100 fib on the daily. On the H4, we're getting that correction. It was looking nice, like I mentioned. It was looking really nice in here. Then we fell over here, so we're looking at like some sort of a WXY, X2, and would be looking for a Z down. So we're getting an A, B, C up in here. I dare say on the lower time frame you can only buy it though. But you may get a sell in here for a wave Z down, and then you'd be looking for the buy for the A, B, C. I'd be more interested in the buys. You may. So we got some sort of an A, B, C in here. very deep, very deep to this wave here. So we're just looking at an A, B, C, maybe a little bit more upside in it, just breaking that top, and then you'd be looking for like the wave Z down. Yeah, I'd be staying out of it for a little while, waiting for that wave Z down, and then I'd be looking for the buy. The daily on the FTSE, we did have a bull hidden there, I believe. So we got that A, B, C as the expanding flat in here, and I was looking for an A, B, C. This one, I would have liked this to come down a little bit further, but it did complete its structure, and we got a nice impulse up, so we're just looking for buys. You can see here, looking for that 38.2. This has turned into a larger correction. I was looking for that WXY X2 and a Z up on the lower time frame. It's turned into a larger correction, obviously. So we really need to wait for this correction. This may be an A, a B, and we get a C down in here, and then we get that A, B, C. Would I be trading this one down in here? No, I wouldn't be trading that in there. I'd be waiting for it and then waiting for a setup to buy. The DAX, this has gained some strength, that's for sure. It's actually broken the top now. So may have to change my count on this because I'm looking at an A, a B, and a C as an expanding flat. This is still valid. It's gone and broken that top. It's still possible as some sort of a B, C as a larger running or expanding flat. I'm still looking for downside. You can really only sell this. It's extremely risky to be buying. We've got all this bearish divergence on the daily. I think it was bullish last week. It's really just got so A, B, C, getting bearish divergence on this. I dare say on the H1, you could look for a WXY. You'd be looking for an X2, and then you could look for a Z up if you're inclined to buy at the highs. So I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button, share, subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.